America is a country of great wealth and many achievements, yet a chronic illness can bankrupt a family. Looking from a monarchy in Europe, things in the United States are really bad. It is a dashboard of threats, political polarization, partisan views affecting consumer sentiment on economy, to widening gap between productivity and wage growth, inflated asset values, to armed and unarmed assaults in schools, streets, restaurants. All is flashing red and seems to be getting worse. Every few years, campaigning politicians from both sides of the aisle are offering that they will fix the United States. To me, looking from far away, their solutions are always looking the same: printing and pouring more money into various governmental projects, further raising public debt and inflation. We need to stop and ask, what are the root causes of all of these problems? Identifying a single root cause for the complex array of problems facing the United States is challenging because these issues are multifaceted and interrelated, each influenced by a variety of factors. However, several underlying themes can be identified that contribute to many of these challenges, starting with economic factors, political polarization and governance, social and cultural factors, to globalization, media influence and information dissemination, and many more. Each of these could be further broken down, and after analysis, we could find variables affecting American society. Before we continue on looking into these, let's remember why American colonies rebelled against British Empire. There were many problems, but the biggest one was taxation without representation. And now, for sure, you might be thinking, these British, they must have increased taxes by 100%, 200%, or something similar. Why else would people rebel? Well, let's check out some of them. In regards to the Sugar Act of 1764, the duty on molasses was reduced from 6 pence to 3 pence per gallon. This reduction was an attempt to discourage smuggling and encourage legal imports. So who would have problems with this? Probably the people who were smuggling sugar. Secondly, let's look at the Stamp Act of 1765 that required all legal documents, newspapers, pamphlets, all playing cards in the colonies to bear a tax stamp. In the old newspapers, you can see how the publishers were protesting against this. So let's check out what was the tax. For instance, a newspaper might have a 1 penny stamp. Price of Boston Chronicle from 1767 was 6 shillings and 8 pence, or 80 pence since shilling was 12 pence. And having to pay 1 penny stamp, that would put this tax at 1.25%. Of course, there were many other taxes, and the lawyers had to pay the highest of them all. Note that 35 or 55 of the American founding fathers were lawyers or had a legal training. And of course, I'm not suggesting that they raised a rebellion because of their personal interest. But I'm asking the question, what are the taxes today? And is everybody living in the United States feeling represented today? According to our survey, 69.33% of Americans don't feel represented. If you're from the United States, let me know down in comments, do you feel represented? And what is the percentage of tax that you pay? Now let's get back to the root causes. For the sake of making this video informative and not too long, I'll look briefly only at a couple of challenges that United States are facing. Let's start with economic inequality. The widening gap between productivity and wage growth is a central factor in economic equality. Since 1979, productivity has increased significantly, yet the growth in hourly wages has not kept pace. This disparity is made worse by a stagnant minimum wage, which, adjusted for inflation, is lower than it was in the 1970s. Additionally, the decline of union movement has reduced workers' bargaining power, contributing to this inequality. Other factors include globalization, automation, deregulation, and corporate tax policies that favor top earners. Addressing these issues require comprehensive policy changes, such as supporting unions, reforming tax policies, and possibly increasing the federal minimum wage. Secondly, political polarization and governance. Political polarization in the United States is influenced by how different political groups perceive and react to economic and social conditions. This polarization is at highest level for a year ahead of the elections, and then it goes a bit lower and then goes up again. Pressure and stress are always there, spilling over to citizens. Political polarization impacts the ability to reach consensus on national issues, hindering effective policy making and governance. Could a monarchist approach offer solutions? A monarchy, in theory, could provide stability, long-term vision, and unifying figure above the fray of partisan politics. But would these solutions resonate in a country deeply rooted in republican ideals? The effectiveness of such an approach in the context of modern America remains a topic of debate and speculation. Unlike politicians that spend at least a quarter of their terms in the office fighting other politicians, monarchs, for example, emperors, kings, queens, dukes, and princes, don't have that problem. The monarch can act as a non-partisan mediator in political conflicts, promoting bipartisan cooperation. Then, monarch is not afraid to lose position after elections. So monarch can do long-term things and look about development of the country not only 2 or 3 years ahead, but 25, 50, and even more as multi-generational projects. Even when politician knows that some decision would be long-term good for the well-being of the country, politician goes against it if his survivability is at stake. This is why politicians need help from the monarch. For example, if your country is poor and you discover some special thing, for example, oil and gas, every politician in that country will have to sign a law allowing standard 25% on mineral tax rate. Some will sign even lower if investor will bring in jobs. But monarch can stop all that process, push reforms, and help politicians to make the best decisions by decree. And the society can end up with 78% mineral tax that gets reinvested into the society, which is precisely the case from Norway, where King's decree was used in a smart way. Decrees are quick to adopt since there is no parliamentary discussion, and secondly, can be easily changed as the circumstances change. Monarch can pass reforms that no politician would. And this team dynamics is what monarchy, in my opinion, brings to the table that no other system can. Long-term vision and guidance for the country. Is this something that totalitarian republics have as well? Some would say yes. After all, these republics have someone on top who can quickly make decisions by decree? The answer is simple no. Totalitarian regimes are wolf dens. There is no cooperation between the president and politicians, or between politicians themselves. Totalitarian republics are true examples of servitude. The moment someone feels the weakness is the moment these systems fall apart. Cooperation that can exist in monarchies cannot be replicated in these republics. Now, do Americans agree with me? Is monarchy something that can help United States? Well, before making this video, I made a quick survey. Only 8.33% of Americans thought that monarchy would be more effective at governing than current system. And in various questions I was asking, for example, should US be empire or kingdom or republic, or should restored monarch have the same powers as the president, or would you support monarchy? People in United States were consistent. Above 80% were answering that United States should remain a republic. Are these ideological and not rational answers? Maybe. There was never a serious campaign for monarchism in the United States, and I am not sure if anyone would dare, knowing that republicanism is drilled to young Americans since kindergarten. Which is why most of Americans might not know what monarch actually does. What they know is that monarchy wanted to tax them, but they might not be aware that those taxes were lower than what they are paying today. Another question I asked was, who should be the monarch? And again here, 82% said no to monarchs. But the remaining ones were split between King Charles III with 5.4%, Washington family descendant with 4%, and 8% said somebody else. I have also asked you in the community page, and I got some really interesting answers. I'll mention some of them now, and you can read the rest. Thomas said that it would be okay in the format based on a Holy Roman Empire. John was simply saying no, and Christopher said yes, he would, but if it is a real monarchy. I think he wanted to say with executive powers. And he added none of this fake ceremonial crap. Go check out community page for more, and thanks for sharing your opinions. A huge thank you to our patrons and YouTube member supporters. If you're able, consider supporting TMC to further our mission. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.